Looks lovely.
Wait,
Does it? Can we take a picture of this too?
Yeah, we'll get pictures.
Cool.
Oh.
I just don't want any drama.
Oh, it's recording.
Oh, is it?
I got the little car thing.
What's wrong with you? I don't
Alright,
do all
let's
of
do
this.
this. Like Brutus.
All right, ladies. Are we excited?
Gent.
Yes.
Oh, man, this is so great. All three of you guys making these crazy faces.
Very facially expressive.
Yes, people are like, why are you looking like that? Because the Stewie look.
You guys should see yourselves. It's so funny.
Why?
Because you guys are doing this thing, man. Like, it's like you got a bit or something. So, hello, ladies. How are you doing today?
Well, awesome.
Fabulous.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Yes! We are filming this on Christmas Day.
All right. All right, ladies. Do me a favor. Introduce yourselves, names, ages, and then you guys can tell me where you're from. Either one of you can go ahead and tell me where you're from.
Okay.
I'm Tabitha Ash. I am 34, and I was born in Baltimore, but I grew up in Pennsylvania.
My name's Anna Marie Ash. I'm 32 years old. Born in Baltimore, raised in York, Pennsylvania.
Christina Ash. I am 35 and the same. Born in Baltimore, raised in York, Pennsylvania.
All right. So, tell me a little bit about your parents. Tell me where they're from, what they did. If you can go back to your grandparents, you can tell me where they're from, and you can tell me what they did.
Who wants to talk about Priscilla?
Our parents, so my mom, Priscilla, was born in Philadelphia and raised in New Jersey. And she has her master's degree in, is it child?
Social work?
No, the undergrad was social work,
Yeah.
and the master's was child,
Development?
something like that.
Something development.
Oh, no, sorry. She got her master's degree at Shippensburg University in Pennsylvania, and she was a social worker in York, Pennsylvania, and in Charlotte, and she now resides as a retired African-American woman in Charlotte.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rodney Ash, our father, born in Baltimore. He was a knife salesman when we were very young in Baltimore, and then we moved to York. He created his company called Cat Carpentry, which is our initials, Christina, Anna, and Tabby. And he helped get us through college with my mother, of course, and he pretty much spent most of his life in Maryland or Pennsylvania.
He was
back in
a
Maryland.
Oh, yeah, and he was a paramedic.
He was a paramedic.
He was a paramedic for about 10 years, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. That was a
And
long
every
time.
single morning, he would commute at like 6 a.m. from Pennsylvania to Baltimore. Every single morning.
Yeah.
He did that for a long time.
Yes.
Talk a little bit more about his paramedic job.
Yeah.
I think my dad had a high school education. He did go to like a trade school.
He went to
like a
for 2
community
years.
college.
Yeah.
Community college, Catonsville Community College for
Mm-hmm.
a year, I think.
I think that's when he got the...
And then I think he had knocked my mom up.
I was born.
And then I came about.
I'm trying to
Yeah, they got married young. Yeah, and they
like
had,
23, 24.
Yeah, Dad was 23, Mom was 22, I think. Yeah.
So I think that the transition was because he had a child now, knives
Yeah.
don't cut it.
No pun intended.
Sorry. Selling knives didn't cut it anymore. So he had to go to trade school to learn construction and things like that. But I don't know where the paramedics thing fell in place. Cause
We were all young, so we didn't really we weren't aware of it at the time.
Yeah, we only stayed in Baltimore until I was 3, and then we left.
And I was
so,
2.
it was really quick
Basically, Anna was
transition.
gonna
Yeah.
be born soon.
Yeah.
He never really talked about his job though, because paramedics, they see a lot of kind of gory stuff. So it was never like he never like discussed it, which I feel like.
Except one time he told me a story when there was this 15-year-old girl who got pregnant and he had to transfer her to the hospital, and he was like, if you ever come home 15 years old with a baby. I guess it was towards
That would have been
obviously.
purposeful.
That was like in the 1990s, so that wasn't, what was it? Teen Mom wasn't available.
No, that was.
So you think it would be a job that you have so many stories to tell, but I guess they're all pretty negative.
No,
so
it was
like, I don't wanna talk
Baltimore,
about it.
so stuff happens in Baltimore. Like, back in
Yeah,
the day,
he said it was sad. It was like, it wasn't,
Nothing
you're
to really,
transporting
like-
sick people and stuff like that. It's not.
and murders.
I never really thought about that because you
yeah.
have to internalize that a little bit. And
That's
not
why I
have
feel like he's like his communication is
Kept
like,
it separate.
Yeah, that's why I feel like it's
Uh-huh.
kind of.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because I thought about forensic science where I didn't want to get used to seeing somebody dying and
And he
that's a
probably
normal
saw
part
it
of my
all the
life.
time.
You have to be a certain type of person to be able to see that on a regular basis and
And
be
then
like,
cut it off,
and come
you know.
home and be like,
Yeah.
hey,
Be like,
what
I'm
you doing?"
dead.
Yeah. Wow, that's a
Same with mom
strong
though.
person.
As a
Yeah.
social worker, she had to keep her stuff separate. So I remember we got to meet some of the people, but like one time mom had to pick me up from school, but had to drop me off at the corner because they weren't allowed to see what we
Oh,
lived.
what you look like? Yeah.
Yeah. So, and they were all. My mom worked with teenagers first, and that was crazy because she would get called out in the middle of the night when kids would run away from home.
Yeah.
And then she went with adults, and then I remember 2 of the adults, and they were a little slower, but they were really nice.
I didn't mean any of them.
Yeah. So, and that was stressful too, being a social worker.
Yeah.
Both stressful jobs. I don't know how they did it.
Yeah, I don't.
No.
I kind of want to be a social worker, but you
You have to have a heart for it.
know.
You.
And no kids. You're good.
So did you guys, so financially, how did you guys grow up?
We thought we were rich.
We thought.
Yeah, we
were
really
like,
did, and then we find out. Wow.
We were poor.
Our parents made it work.
Yeah.
Now, our parents did buy properties. We had a home in Pennsylvania. We had 2 in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So they did own property. My dad did a lot of the renovations on the houses. So they kind of made it their own. My mom was very big on, she's like a Martha Stewart-ish type
Yeah.
woman. Like she's stenciling the house and creating dolls out of mops and baking constantly. She was a great homemaker, and she
She made dinner, lunch, breakfast for us every single day.
every day.
Yeah.
And she would make like bulk amounts, so we would have leftovers, but we always had food. I mostly had seconds, but we always had food. Yes. And my dad, he actually built. We had this awesome me and you bunk bed.
Wait, he
Who was
did a
that?
bunk bed, and then he also did mom and dad. He
Yeah,
also did their bed
with the little
with the drawers and
yeah.
everything. Yeah, so he built their furniture,
He was
and
very,
then mom
very-
stenciled the top of it.
Yeah.
with the
It was
stencils.
cute.
Yeah,
It was so cute.
And then she stenciled our bunk bed too. So
Very DIY.
yeah,
Definitely.
Which is why I think they could afford to do
Everything
some of the
else that they
nicer
did.
things. Otherwise,
Yeah,
You
they
just- you
sacrificed
can't buy it.
buying everything to make it so that we would have extra money for like what we really needed.
But then mom had another job, so even as a social worker, she would work another job on the weekends so that we could have money for like piano lessons and
horseback
violin
riding.
and horseback riding and
Swimming.
and
juggling.
yeah,
Ballet, which we never really wanted to do. We did juggling.
gymnastics.
Gymnastics. I love gymnastics. That was fun.
Wait, you did juggling? Oh my god, you did juggling.
They give you tennis balls. You
You could probably do it right now. I feel like you could do it right now.
I don't
anything to
remember
keep us
that.
out of
the
trouble.
Trouble, yeah. Our parents
was our
kept us
goal.
busy 100%.
Choir. All of us can sing.
Yeah, so if we weren't in the church, we had church twice a week, and then all of us had a sport, either fall or spring.
Yep.
And then with that sport, then we had to do an extracurricular activity when it came to like art or music. So either you were taking an art class or you were taking a music class, and
Piano lessons.
we all had an instrument. I had piano.
I had piano and clarinet.
Yeah.
And
And violin.
Yeah.
So we all did piano.
we all-
None of that
I can do chopsticks. That's it. I could do Titanic a little bit. A little bit at the beginning. That's it. That's it.
Yeah. Oh, Dad still has the violin, or
I know.
Yeah,
Give
he
it
still
back.
has
Remember
it.
when he cried when I broke the clarinet? 'Cause that was
No, because you broke the clarinet, you broke something else too.
Break
And
everything.
I
Dad's-
broke the what's it called? The keyboard.
Oh yeah, because you didn't want to play anymore, so you were
Yeah.
smacking on the keyboard,
Yeah.
and then you were like, "Okay, I want to play the clarinet," and you played the clarinet, and then you smacked the clarinet down. Dad was like, "I'm not buying you any more instruments."
Yes, because
It's expensive.
I was like, when things didn't go my way, I got angry, so I took it out on objects.
Better than people.
Interesting.
Is it? I don't think it is. We're not delving into that. Okay.
Well, actually, one of my questions was, if you could, what were your worst and best memories of growing up black?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, so we grew up in an all-white neighborhood.
Whole
Oh,
life.
Yeah, from yes, because we moved to York, when I was 3. So yeah, we elementary school through high school we went to white school.
Yeah.
So
So what do we do? Best first or worst first?
You could choose.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
So the best memories for me, like, even though we went to a white suburban school, I honestly liked the summertime when we had the park program, and we were although we were with all white people, you didn't really feel like that. I don't feel like we got discriminated against or anything like that. Not to my face, at least. I don't know if it was behind closed doors. It might have been, but I don't know. I felt like we were pretty much a part of the community, except for if they if we were in class and they started to discuss black culture or slavery. There was always that 1 second where all the kids are looking back at you because you're the black kid in the class. So they're like, I wonder, what about slavery, Tabitha? That was a thing. Every single time they brought up
Remember when you were
Right, I was
yeah, I would know. But they would always do that little and if there was an Asian kid in class, if they were talking about Chinese culture, they might not even be Chinese, but they would do that look, That was kind of a thing. So I mean, it wasn't the worst, but it was I just remembered that specifically. Definitely.
I would say the worst part of growing up African Americans, because we were in the white community, I think it's more so the older, I don't know, it could have been the younger folks too. We would play, and one of the neighbors said we were monkeys or something like that. So my mother got really upset, so she would so don't go down there, stay in the house or go down there to your friend's house. So I didn't realize how much she probably internalized that, they're talking about my children. We don't raise children like that. They're just being normal kids. But we were called a derogatory name because we're African American and we're the only ones in the neighborhood. So I now in hindsight see how she could have, how do you handle that as a parent? How do you not project that onto your kids? And I was spanked because I was trying to one time I was spanked. I was trying to recycle goods because I was trying to make some money, and someone told my dad I was taking beer cans out of recycling bins, and I got beat for it. But to me, it's not something to beat somebody over, but it's because I was a black girl doing it. So I think that it's in hindsight seeing your parents how do I supposed to deal with this? Should I beat them or should I
kind of trying to suppress our blackness in the white neighborhood so that we're not,
but not too much.
Because you know how I don't want some Caucasians, they look at you as a certain way and they're expecting certain aspect of you to be that way. So they're just kind of watching oh, we knew they were going to act like that, or we knew that was going to happen. So our parents kind of wanted us to kind of
they're trying to avoid the
suppress it a little
stereotypes.
bit. Yeah, exactly. So that it wasn't oh, we expected these black, but then that pretty much got us to where we are today. Now we're not I know you call us bougie, but we're kind of a little bit
classy?
Yeah, that's how they kind of wanted us to end up, basically.
I don't know if class has anything to do with it necessarily. It's just more so being aware of perpetuating stereotypes because you already know what you see on the media and what people think. I was talking to my sister about, I went to a retirement dinner and people were like, oh, this was 2 days ago. You held your own in a room full of old white people. I was like, what do you think was going to happen? You think I was going to crumble? We couldn't have a conversation. So they expect certain behaviors or you to speak a certain way. So they kept talking to us they kept coming up to us if we were an kind of on stage in a way. So it was bothersome, but I knew how to handle it because I've been in that situation. But it just made me think again, like everybody, no matter how old you are, you're still gonna have these stereotypes in your mind, and then without, maybe it's unconscious, but you are expecting certain things, and I think it makes us more conscious because of how we grew up.
Yeah.
What's the question again?
Negative.
Negative, positive.
Positive. We are very well rounded.
Yes.
You don't meet many black people who have been able to do as much as we have. Thank God for my parents. So I am very blessed of the neighborhood we grew up in. It gave us thick skin. It gave us a way to be able to deal with people putting those stereotypes on us, not to backlash, not to want to like throw punches automatically.
We don't fight.
It also gave us a balance because we all went to HBCUs. So going to an all-black college and then growing up in an all-white area, we are balanced to be able to be in both.
Any type of community.
Yeah, both environments. So I'm very blessed for that. I tell people, you know, I'm glad that the way we grew up. I really am.
Yeah.
I'm very
It definitely was a learning experience, but I think it was a learning experience for the kids we grew up with as well, because we're all trying to figure out who we are. So I was called names, but it was out of ignorance, and I was trying to kind of confuse the same
like,
time.
are
So
you calling me?
I
don't know what
couldn't
that
really
is.
go at you because you don't know what it means, and I really don't know what it means either. So I remember talking to my dad, and he was like, I said, Dad, no, he said, if anybody ever calls you a nigger, he was like, ask them, do they know what that means? Try to find, like, he's like, don't get mad, just ask them, do they really know what that means, or are they just projecting that because they heard that from their parents? And to be honest with you, the kids that I grew up with, their parents were pretty decent. Like, I never ever got any, like, nobody, like, we were the Ash girls.
Yeah,
like,
everybody
people
knew
just
us.
knew us. Like, we were like mini celebrities. It's funny to say that. But
We
seriously,
really were.
our teachers, my teacher is my friend on Facebook, and she was like, the Ash girls, man, they always had it together. You know, they
We were
did
grouped as
this,
one.
they did that, you know. We ran track, so it was like, I set the standards, and then Anna and Tabby come behind.
They're like,
and
oh,
it's
you're
just like
Tina's
still
sister.
up there.
Yeah, they're like, oh, I'm so glad you're Tina's sister. And it was like a happy experience for like teachers and like coaches and stuff like that, because they're like, she set the standard, and we came right behind like with the same.
And then our coach, my coach Wickenheiser, he retired, but he was like, he wanted, his daughter reached out to us, found us, and wanted us to write a retirement letter for him, because she was like, he talked about you all the time. To think like now we're in our 30s and she's still like, the Ash girls, like I really just can't complain. The little itty bitty things here and there.
Yeah, that wasn't
it's
serious.
just-
It's not compared to what a lot of people went
no,
through.
yeah.
It
There was
very
no
minimal,
beatings. There was no, like, York, I mean, a lot of people are like, York is York. But, yeah, I mean, it's pretty...
Yeah, I never felt, like I said, discriminated against.
No.
I only think I
Not
did when
really.
there were other black people.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
so
the only
the
time
church,
you knew you were different.
yeah, so the church we went to was in the city. It was in York
Yeah.
City, and those kids went to a city school. So sometimes they looked at us like,
You guys act white.
think, why are you acting like you better than us?
like we're not. We're just
No,
being ourselves.
I mean, this is how we grew up. We know how to sit, you know. Yes, and we speak with manners, and it was funny because when I remember learning how to speak proper, and how Dad and Mom would be like, we couldn't use ain't, we couldn't use huh. Yeah, he's like, huh, who? And then, or I can't even remember the other word I would say, and Dad would be like, who's that? And I can't remember, but one time I answered the phone, called my dad at work, and we had this little script right by our phone, and we had to answer the phone the right way. And I was like, hello. I was like, may I please speak to Mr. Rodney Ash? And Dad came home and he told me that the lady was like, is your daughter white?
Oh wow.
That's like, I'm like, if you see my dad black, like.
Could be adopted, but it's just, you know, it wasn't that extreme.
But
That's
for me
ignorant.
to have know how to enunciate my words and use my syllables, and it's just that's weird. Like, it was just like little things. It's ignorance that we constantly had to deal with.
Yeah.
So then, I guess the next question would be like, so what are some of the traditions and values you learned from all of that then?
We kind of had like our own traditions. Like it was like our own family traditions. So, wait, what was the question again?
What were some of the values and traditions you kind of gained or learned from all of those experiences?
Values, definitely.
Family and
Family.
respect
Mm-hmm.
were, I think,
Be a well-rounded
no matter who you
adult.
are.
Like be able to balance everything out, like as a human being. So.
Did you guys have any traditions that you practiced or what's the word?
Well, we grew up in a
Participated?
church, so we definitely went to church twice a week.
Celebrate, yeah. Celebrate.
Yeah.
holidays. Mom always had her when we decorated Christmas trees. We did hot cocoa, apple cider. She
S'mores.
make a little s'mores.
Mm-hmm.
Holiday music, NSYNC.
Mhm.
Yeah. I love that.
Usually do breakfast. Thank Tina for doing that today.
Yes,
We usually do
appreciate it.
Christmas breakfast and then dinner. So she was great cook.
Yes.
So she food was a big, like, as most black people and
We
most
always had to
cultures, food
eat
is a
dinner
big
at the
thing.
table.
Yes,
Nowhere
that
else.
was one
Dinner at the
thing.
table.
Yeah, when we had dinner, we sat down together. No phones.
Talk about
no
our day.
Books. We talked about what went on during our day.
You don't even have
and-
to eat. You guys sit at the table.
You have
Yeah.
to sit at the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was one thing that we had.
Did you guys celebrate any specific African American traditions?
My
One
mom,
time we did.
she
Kwanzaa.
introduced us to
We
Kwanzaa,
We tried Kwanzaa
and then it
one
was
time.
kind of just like, but it doesn't
Uh,
seem like anybody caught on to that.
Yeah.
As black people, it doesn't seem like we learned a little bit about it in the candles and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And that was at church. But other than that, like we didn't.
What was later on in life? We didn't start as like Christmas. You don't start when you're young.
Yeah. This was like we were
started-
like
we
15,
were like, middle
14.
school, I
Yeah.
Just to introduce.
We did it
us
like
to
once, and it was like, well. Yeah.
But she would take us to like see plays like A Raising in the Sun
Yes.
and to make sure we had
Black
that
culture in it.
African American experience.
We would go to
like
black
the church and stuff like
museums.
that.
Definitely went to museums.
Black and Wax Museum in Baltimore.
Yeah.
We did
We had to
a multitude of things.
read books about.
I had to read Frederick Douglass, and then we had
Yeah.
to write like an essay about it. Like, what did you learn from? Like pretty much summarize the story.
Yes, we had homework outside of
All the time.
school.
Homework.
Just to learn more about our culture.
Because you won't get it otherwise. And even the stuff that you do get in school, it's marginalized.
Yeah.
until
Even in
you
black
go to,
school,
like,
even
I mean,
in
Rosa
HBCU,
Parks.
that
Yeah,
didn't cover half the
everybody
stuff.
knows about Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, but
about it.
we learned about peanut butter and I
Yeah.
don't remember everybody who did all
Shirley
Carter.
Chisholm.
Yes.
Ran for president.
And then
Goodwin.
the ironing board. I can't remember who created the ironing board, but we know that wasn't a white person. That was a black person. But yeah, learning was one of the things that our mom, because
She's a reader.
even when we were outside of school, it's the summertime, we had to be in the reading project.
We had to read a
and
book at least
we had to
once a
read a
month.
certain amount of books, and then TV time was limited to like an hour a day.
All right, so how are you disrupting? I define disrupting as breaking boundaries. This is how do you add to the culture by breaking a boundary of mainstream culture that allows us to create and carve out niches that we can use to make positions for the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
Or are you positioning yourself? Are you adding to the culture by gaining seats at the table? You know what I'm saying? Or leading, organized, or being a leader of organizations that are pushing, the culture forward.
Mm-hmm.
Or are you reinvesting? Are you buying property in marginalized areas? Are you opening businesses? Are you starting, what are you doing to help that community? You guys can go from there.
Okay.
It can be volunteer. It doesn't have to be major. It can be anything. Maybe you only did it one time, but just to get an idea of like where people are working, or you can even identify places where you see that maybe some changes need to be made.
Tina?
So I'm getting my master's in nutrition, and as a black person, I want to definitely be a leader in trying to help us create a more healthy lifestyle. We have the highest prevalence in heart disease and diabetes, and it's devastating to know that as a whole we're basically killing ourselves. I just found out going to FNCE, which is one of the biggest nutrition health expos, that black people are only represented by 3%. Mm-hmm. So just by doing this, I am trying to help pave a way for other young African American women who want to dive into this industry, because it's 3% is nothing compared to 100. So I definitely want to just pave the way, pay it forward. If someone else wants help, I definitely want to help them as much as I can. Leadership is hard, but you know, I definitely think that someone's got to do it. Yeah.
And to bounce off of you, I agree with that. I think it's just a big issue where like a lot of inner cities, they don't have like kind of like the option of like a Whole Foods in their area.
No, they don't do that.
Yeah,
it's on purpose.
Exactly.
It has to do with
and that's
money.
like and it's a bigger issue.
Yeah.
And they have like, okay, we got the corner store, or we got like some random like ethnic owned grocery store. Exactly. And that's all their options are. And they're like, okay, so they're not gonna like, some of them don't have transportation. They're not gonna drive all the way out to where other ethnicities live, where they can get, you know, healthier foods, produce, and everything like that. So that's even a bigger issue to delve into, because that bothers me.
No, yeah, it's gonna be hard to change, but
Yeah.
it's all
Step by step.
it's all money driven.
Mm-hmm.
All money driven. Yeah.
Well, I started a real estate company here in Washington, D.C. I'm also an investor and property owner. I think I'm helping to drive the culture forward by promoting home ownership and also educating people about home ownership, where, you know, if you grew up in a household where that wasn't something that was important, kind of shifting the focus on more so, like I said, the education portion of it. So if you know a little bit more about how to purchase a house, what's needed, you don't have to have perfect credit, how it's going to benefit your community or how it's going to benefit your family by having some type of asset instead of multiple liabilities, and put yourself in a better balance. You may not become rich off of it, but you have some flexibility to take equity out of the house and do something else with that money. It gives you a little bit of financial stability as long as you know, keep up the property, do it right, or what have you. So just educating people on those types of aspects of home ownership and real estate, but also the philanthropic aspect of my company is to give away scholarships every year to students as I collect fees from my clients for admin fees. They don't go to my company, they go to African American women, men, people that want to be entrepreneurs or interested in real estate, and also having them see another, you know, African American person that owns a company, a real estate company, which we don't have a ton. We have a lot of realtors that are in the community, just not a lot of business owners, that they can do it too. It's not impossible. It's just being able to stay consistent on the path of what you want to do, get it done, and stay committed. So I hope to create an indelible mark in that way. It's not an overnight thing. None of this is. It feels like it's going to take forever, but if we all do a little something, it helps.
That hill is rough.
You did do the Big Sister? You did that as well?
Oh, I'm also mentoring young girls. I have a thing for young women because I received a lot of help in college from mostly men. Pause. When I started working in the restaurant industry, they gave me a scholarship in college, and they surrounded themselves by me like, Anna, we're going to make sure you succeed. You're also a Howard alum. We're going to make sure you make it, and this is how we're going to help you by introducing you to certain people, by educating you about real estate as well in the restaurant industry and entrepreneurship. So I thought that was important, but when I also got sister support, female love in that regard, I thought it meant that much more. So I think that having both ends of that spectrum are helpful. So I want to help young women to understand that, you know, you can do it too, and we're here for you.
Just to give them options.
Yeah.
Just to know that right now it just seems like everybody's all social media, like, I need to do this to get money. No, I mean, there's
like
other
sports.
Options. Yeah. It's going to definitely be harder.
It's hard.
You did Girls on the Run, right?
Yeah, so, yeah, and we're just all mentors. We just try and pay it forward.
Yeah.
Because I did Girls on the Run in New York, and it was troubling to see how, unfortunately, young girls are kind of left by the wayside. The parents have to work so much because it costs so much to live in that city. And they would go from one program to the next. And the one little girl, it was crazy, like, because the school I was at, they were all coming from different areas. It's a private school, but they all came from different areas. And one little girl asked one little girl, so are you a blood or a crypt?
What?
I had to pull her to the side. I was like, are you
Is that an
serious?
option?
We are not talking about that. She was like, well, what do you mean? What's wrong with that? And I'm like, oh, like we had to have a whole conversation. Like she doesn't know. And she's coming from an area that's a little rougher. But then this other little girl's coming from an area that is not as bad. So it was definitely different having to deal with young ladies at the age of like 13. Well, actually, I think it was like 9 to 13. So that's also different. That age group is crazy. I was shocked. It was one of the best experiences though. They drove me absolutely insane. They tightened up my fallopian tubes even tighter. But then the last day when we ran the 3.1 miles, the one little girl, she was like, Miss Christina, I'm gonna finish this. And I was like, you better do it. And then we were coming across the finish line and I was like, yeah, baby, yes.
That's so sweet.
It was. I was like, I'm not gonna go. These girls these had me crying. Oh my God, they had me crying. So I was like, man, to run 3 miles, and they did it. They did it, man, and
not stop and not quit. That's awesome.
Exactly. Yeah. It definitely made me feel good.
On my next. Okay, so currently I'm gonna be taking the GRE, and I have my my education is in communication, and I have my minor in psychology, but I'm going back to school to get my master's in psychology. So what I basically want to do is like kind of delve into black individuals' mental health, because that's like kind of a problem. And a lot of people have like, you know how you are in the military, you have post-traumatic stress or post-traumatic issues. A lot of black people have that from just basically growing up how they grew up, and they don't know how to really talk about it. They kind of keep it inside, and they don't have an outlet. And that's like a big issue. And that's why black people kind of are the way they are today, and not like expressing emotion. So that's kind of what I want to get into in my field when I go back to school. So that's like a big issue in the black community, honestly. That's huge.
That's great.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm recognizing too from doing this. A lot of people not growing up without dads.
Yeah.
And that just trickling down to other stuff. I mean, you should.
They can't have a relationship. They can't. Yeah, they can't like commit to anything. It's really ridiculous.
And the older people too.
Yeah, the older people are the worst,
because the older people that are in you, they won't talk about certain things. And then so after the interview, I asked them, like, so why didn't you talk about this or that? Oh, I didn't really want to go into it. I'm like, it's because y'all choose to hold things from the younger people that
now
we
don't
can't really have a
But
conversation.
then it's a question mark for us.
Right.
Yeah.
So I appreciate my mom being very open.
Yes, my mom's very open.
Because,
my dad,
I mean,
You can process it and deal with it.
Exactly. Or if it happens to us, we can at least talk about it, talk through it.
Mm-hmm.
and it's therapeutic, because then once you get it out there, it's not like something you're hiding anymore.
Right.
You're not like just
Not
constrained and like, I don't want to talk about it, I don't want to talk about it, and you're just thinking about it all the time. But
And then when you're around angry black people, it's annoying.
yeah.
Angry people in general.
Yeah, but it's just like, okay, we're done. It's over. It happened. We have to move on. We've got to be connected,
Productive.
stick together.
Yes.
Because there's so many people that I know that if we were all to like be, what word am I looking for?
Cohesive?
Cohesive, yes. We were all gonna be cohesive. We could do so much.
Absolutely.
Like last year when all the NFL stuff happened, and the only person that decided to do something about it was Kaepernick. Man, did the NFL players know what kind of voice they have? If they would have decided not to do anything, but no,
Would have shut
no,
the whole
I don't want to do this
business
because
down.
I don't lose my money. Are you serious? You are the money. You are the money. They can't make money. People aren't coming to games to watch them sit up in those glass boxes. They're watching you.
Right.
And that made me so mad because I was like, they have
it.
so much power. And if they would have decided not to do anything, oh my
But you gotta
goodness.
think about it the same. They're probably they've never had this type of money before, and they're probably supporting a
They're
lot
scared.
of people.
And I understand
So
that.
it's
But
like
that's the thing that we need to talk about stuff. Get it out there. I understand that everybody's going through something, but I honestly think like they would have had the biggest impact. And Kaepernick wouldn't have been by himself.
Well, you're both right, Anna, and you're right. They are supporting a lot of people, but those people that they're supporting, they should be able to stand up because they're the ones who are impacted by all this.
Right.
Of course, but nobody sees beyond that though. They see money and how can I get me.
That's what I'm
as
saying.
individuals.
If we were all together, it wouldn't be individual.
So then the people who they're supporting should have stood up and be like, why ain't you doing what he doing?
Right.
Well, we'll take care of ourselves. You need to go follow him in solidarity.
Meal ticket.
See, other ethnicities
And because it was
can
one
do that.
person, he got penalized. But if it would have been all of them,
they had
what
to
would
make
the
a
NFL
decision.
have done? They
Shut
are
down. It
the
would've been a shutdown.
highest grossing athletics ever.
Wait, there's a lot.
What's his name? LeBron James. He has a show called The Shop. He was talking about how like it's still like a slave mentality for the
100%.
black individuals because the NFL is owned by all white men, and they basically treat them however they want to because they're gonna get paid. They're like, okay, we're getting paid. We're still gonna treat you how we want to treat you. You're still gonna be our slaves. You're still gonna
be quiet, sit
You're
down
still
and
gonna do
play.
what we want you to do,
And then,
but we're gonna pay you a little bit more, so now you feel okay about it.
And then they
But
cut
it's
off.
not.
And instead, they cut off the national anthem. So if people were kneeling, nobody knew about it unless you were at the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they.
Do you think it's important to preserve your cultural identity?
I definitely do. I think it's gonna. I think right now it's harder to find it.
I was
That's
about
what I was about to say,
it's
what
harder
is
to
it?
define. We can't
Yeah,
really
you have to
explain that.
define what it is
Yeah.
first, and that takes time. And are people willing to do that? Are we willing to do that to preserve it? Because it is getting.
Right now.
So how do we
I mean,
preserve it?
yeah, I mean it's getting lost.
Yeah.
It definitely is getting lost.
Because other ethnicities, they know where they come from, and they come over here, and they're all kind of comrades, and they help each other out and assist each other. We do not. We kind of just help ourselves or help individuals that we're close to, and maybe that's it. But we're not as communal as we probably should be.
I think it's like Tina was saying, a mix of what is our culture and how do we preserve it, and this is a great way of doing it. But it is getting lost every day, exponentially.
Yeah.
How do you think social media affects that?
100%.
A lot.
100%.
'Cause that's all you see, and especially younger kids who didn't have the opportunity to go to plays or like grew up kind of like we did, or just not have something in your face telling you what's pretty, telling you what you should be. I mean, these little kids look like they're 25 years old because they think that's what beauty is, and that's not the case.
And Instagram models are like looking like all the same. Everybody looks like a Kim Kardashian, which is a thing now, I guess. So it's kind of scary.
Yeah, it's very scary. Even the people that created these platforms would never let their kids use it. They're like, no, this is ridiculous. It sets off these endorphins like cocaine. Like, oh, I got a like. It's like, what does that even mean? And who are these people that like me? And what does it matter?
Who are these people that like me?
Exactly.
They think I'm pretty. Good.
Okay, so the last question is, what parts of yourself and what parts of the things that you talked about would you like included in the portrait of you?
What do you mean? Like, are there gonna be words in the
No, but you
No,
use
he's
words to
saying-
describe the things that you know what I'm saying, like so when I say parts, like what parts of you do you want included in your portrait?
physically?
Yeah, physically, material or immaterial.
Mm-hmm.
It could be personality traits.
You're talking about the tangible portrait. This is
Yeah,
like a
yeah,
metaphor.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Did I not make
You
that?
made it seem like it was a metaphor, like in your portrait of you. What did you?
Oh,
like,
yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah,
wait.
yeah. Sorry.
So the literal portrait.
Should
Okay.
be more clear about this.
I mean, we're still on camera, so I was like,
You see how? Because I had to change these questions because you answer them and it's like, God damn, like that sounded clear in my head. But so what parts of you would you like included in this portrait?
not my face.
No.
So how would you like to be? How would you like to be? What parts of you would you like to be portrayed in this portrait?
Happy and confident. Yeah, because my boss asked me, he's like, how you doing? I said, I'm good. He said, you sure? You don't sound like it. I said, I'm happy. I was like, I'm happy all the time. I was like, but that doesn't mean I have to be like, hey,
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
good.
okay.
You know? Happy, content.
Kind of how we are like right now, like how we like look and yeah. That's how I feel.
funny.
You want a caricature?
Oh, I don't know. That's I'm a lot of different things. How do I, you be at peace. I always have like a resting bitch face and intentional. It's like, I guess I would like to look friendly. Approachable.
I think the resting bitch face is like the norm, so I think that would be
Maybe just my face.
Yeah, just like
Yeah, because
Right?
yeah.
That's
Anytime she's
I'm focused. I'm always in my own world. I'm just in my own world thinking of things. I was at Union Oyster Bar with Mickey and another friend of ours, and they were just having a conversation. I'm just looking around because I'm just taking things in. But yeah.
Focus.
Yeah, I guess I'll be focused.
You know, and fortitude.
It's a good one. Fortuitous.
So yeah, that'll be good for you.
Thanks. What about you?
Let's see.
Adorable.
Huh?
Adorable.
Shut up, face. Like a doll, baby. You know. No.
Rob, are you gonna like
Because he knows I look like a
puffs
doll
on the
baby.
side of her head?
Put
and
like a
an
little
all
beret right
baby?
here, a little beret, like a little bow
You have
beret.
no idea how you're supposed to think that. I don't even know what
I'm
it's
joking. I'm joking. I wanna
Dynamic.
probably do me just like I like the confident and like kind of content, you know. But I want to be smiling. I don't know if I want to show teeth though. Yeah, probably show teeth because that's what I normally look like. Yeah.
Yeah. You're not.
I'll give you a fight.
Perfect. All right, cool. All right, so we're done, and I'm gonna take portraits real quick. And then